name is Jocelyn Floyd. I'm 13 years old, and I attend Trinity Classical School where I'm in 7th grade. I feel it important to first give my opinion on the doorstep of war. Perhaps we are on the doorstep of war, just a tweet away from ringing the doorbell. Even ready to spend trillions of dollars to stay in that wretched house of war. However, in my mind, there are two other houses. I imagine a house of conflict and a house of peace along with the house of war. I believe America not only lives in the house of conflict, but owns it. War is supposed to require congressional approval. We haven't had that since 1941, and yet we're in conflicts all over the world, including Syria, Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere. The representatives of this nation have us on the doorstep of war. It is in their hands whether we ring that doorbell to the house of war or make our way to the house of peace. I would ask them, what is the cost of war? What price are we willing to continue paying? We've spent over $5.6 trillion on war since 9/11. But how many children are homeless? There are over 2.5 million homeless children in the U.S. How many people have died in war? Over 370,000 people have died in direct war violence. How many war refugees have nowhere to go? There are over 10.1 million war refugees and displaced persons. I would tell them that the cost is too high, not just in dollars, but in lives. Let's not forget about the House of Peace. It is a beautiful house where the state does not cost trillions of dollars. It is a house dominated by God. This house is where God calls his children to reside. And yet, it is a house with few residents. Why? Because peace has been forgotten. The thing we as believers are supposed to be the makers of has been forgotten. Where are the peacemakers? Dr. King once said we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. It is necessary for the peacemakers to help us figure out a way to live as brothers and sisters of one world. So at some point, America has to leave the house of conflict. We might not go from owning the house of conflict to owning the house of peace, but we must at least try to stay in the house of peace. We need to get off the doorstep of war and start paying for things that will help people instead of hurting them. Join people instead of dividing them, and show love instead of hate. My faith has a lot to do with my answer. Matthew 5:9 says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." So ultimately, that is why we need to make our way to the house of peace. The Lord said revenge is his and not ours. So I leave you with Romans 12:18. If it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Thank you.